So this is from your notes from yesterday, page 17, right? Okay. And we got all the way to the very end, right here, angle addition postulate. And I showed you, we did do the first example, but that one just involved numbers. So I wanted to go through the ones that have polynomial expressions. So the angle addition postulate is simply saying that if you have a big angle that is made up of two small angles put together, if you look at this picture right here, there's actually three angles there. You got the top angle, you got the bottom angle, and then you have the outer angle. You see that? So there's three angles there. Angle addition postulate is saying, well, if you know the measure of this, let's say it's 20, and you know the measure of this, let's say it's 40, then you can say the measure of the outer angle would be 60, because 20 plus 40 is 60. So the angle addition postulate, it's so simple that you might even think, why do we really even need something like that? Wouldn't it just make sense to add it? And it would, but in math we have what's called, rules, definitions, postulates. Postulate, don't let that word get you caught up. A postulate is a fancy word for a statement that holds true in math. Okay, it's something you don't have to question. You don't have to prove it. It's true. It would be like saying, what is it? If you trying to think of something. Okay, perfect example. There is scientific research that proves if your cell phone is not in your possession in school, like in class, not necessarily school, but like in class, when you're learning, you don't have your phone on you, you just put it away, your grade goes up. It's a scientific fact. They have researched it and they have proven that if the student will just put their phone away, that mental energy is no longer what's gonna come through on my phone. What's that next text message she's gonna send me because we're fighting right now, or you know what I mean? All that is mental energy. So there's a scientific research that proves that if you just put your phone away when you're learning something, you learn it better. Grade goes up. Okay. So that would be that's like a postulate. It's something you don't have to necessarily question because there's already it's a fact. Okay. What is the angle addition postulate? We wrote this yesterday. It's a lot of letters. You have to be very careful. You have to trace it with your pencil. We have angle ABD. That's the top one added to angle DBC. That's the bottom one. Would equal the measure of the outer angle, which is ABC. The concept is part plus part equals the whole thing. That's the concept. Wrap your mind around part plus part equals the whole thing, because that's going to come up today and tomorrow. Okay? And it makes things easier. So looking at number 8, find the measure of angle DEF. It really helps to take your pencil, trace the angle that they're telling you to find, so it'd be DEF, and then make a note. Okay, so that's the whole thing, and I'm going to put a question mark there. So then my mind might be able to even piece it together. So if I'm looking for that whole thing, do I know its parts? Yeah, I know this part is 22 and this part is 48. So angle DEF would be 22 plus 48, which is what? 70 degrees. I just realized. Okay, so looking at number 9, it says the measure of angle TUW is 158 degrees. Then it says find the measure of VUW. You're going to hear me say this a lot. Go to your picture and draw some information. Some of it might already be there, some of it might not. Put a question mark with what you're supposed to find. It really helps. It's hard to know what to do if you just look at this picture like this and don't manipulate it at all. When I say manipulate it, I mean find angle TUW and write 158. TUW is the whole thing. You can't really come in here and write 158 the whole thing. It would look weird. So I like to just draw that really big arc to show, okay, that whole thing's 158. Then put a question mark with what the goal is. Always have the goal in mind. The goal is VUW. VUW would be this. Now, this problem does not look nearly as intimidating because my mind already sees a part, and a whole. Right? Multiple ways to go about it. You could set it up as part plus part equals whole, or you could use what's called the subtraction method, where you know the whole thing, right? And you know a part of it, so if you just subtract that off, you would be left with the other part. So, for instance, the whole thing's 158. The part I know is 67. So the angle I need, VUW, would be 158 minus 67. Which would be what? 91. Number 10, same concept. Instead of just numbers, now we have polynomial expression. But guys, if you understood these two problems, this is the same. It's just instead of being able to go straight to your calculator, you're going to have to set up the equation, combine like terms, and then solve. Okay? But it's the same foundational knowledge. Part plus part equals whole. So look at number 10. They tell us the measure of DGE, EGF, and FGD. What is X? If they're asking for X, that's your clue. You have to set up an equation and solve. So where do we get the equation from? By labeling the picture and looking at what we have in front of us. So let's label DGE. All right, so it's a little crowded, but we'll make it work. Then EGF, right here. Then they tell us that the large outer angle is 33. So I'm just going to carefully try and draw a big arc to remind me, okay, I'm talking about the whole thing here. I have information on every piece. I have the two parts and I have the whole, which means I can set up an equation. So I would love for you to try, or you can think in your mind if you want, which part plus which part equals what. And then I want to write it on the board and see if you got it right.
Does the degree sign do anything, or is it just like a reminder?
It's just letting you know you're talking about an angle, not a length. It's a great question. We will get to a lesson where we have a mixture of both. And the way you know it's an angle and not a length of something is by the degree sign. So, what's one part? part to me. Yep, 6x minus 5 plus 12x plus 11 equals what, Logan? Yes, the whole is 33. All right, so let's set it up. We've got 6x minus 5 plus 12x plus 11 equals 33. Now you can see why Unit 1 involved multi-step equations. That's a multi-step equation. Combine your like terms. So remember, before you cross the street, before you start moving things to the other side, you look to see if anything can combine. So on the left, 6x plus 12x, negative 5 plus 11. Now I'm ready to start moving things to the other side. What should I move so I have less work to do? I would move the 6, because x is already on the left. You already have 33 over here. The 6 is in the way. Move it by, what's the opposite of plus 6? Yep. So you'd subtract 6 to the right. It would disappear on the left, and on the right we would end up with 27. Now this is not pretty, but it's okay. And then we would divide by what? 18. 18 divided by 27, 27 divided by 18 is not pretty, but it will reduce. Can you think of a number that divides into both of those? What number will divide into both of them? 3. So there's a nice feature on your calculator. Let me show you this. Type alpha y equals. The very first option says n over d. That is the fraction shortcut. So hit enter. Enter the fraction we came to, 27, and then you have to arrow down 18. And then if you hit enter, it will reduce it if it's reducible. And what is it? So what does it say? 3 over 2, which is the answer. 3 over 2 is 1.5, so it's a pretty decimal. It's 1.5. But you could leave it as 3 over 2. I really want you to start getting comfortable with fractions. A lot of people hate fractions, but we need to start embracing them, and the only way that's going to happen is by practicing with them. Number 11, I would love for you to try it, and let's see if you get it right. Okay, so if you look at 11, we have angle TRV. That would be the whole thing. Oh, I'm on eraser. Hold on. The whole thing is 75 degrees. It says, what's the measure of angle TRS? So TRS is this one. I'm going to draw a line to remind me, okay, focus your attention eventually there. And that's the goal. Do I have a piece of all the parts? Like, do I have knowledge on all of the parts? Do I know something about them? Either the measure itself or an expression for it? Yes. And do I know the whole thing? Yes. So you can set it up. Part plus part equals whole. So what's one of the parts? 4x plus 7 is one of the parts. What's another part? Okay, and what's the whole? All right. So we're going to combine like terms. So we get 10x plus 5 equals 75, right? Subtract 5, divide by 10. Did you get x is 7? Yes? Okay. Did it ask for x? No, it said what's the measure of an angle. What do I do with that x? Plug it back in. That 7 would go back in. This is why that question mark is helpful. It would go right back where you had your question mark. So angle TRS that it asked for would be 4 times 7 plus 7. 4 times 7 is 28, plus 7 is what? 35. All right, let's look at this last one. Notice the difference here is they did not draw a picture for us. But that's okay, because do you notice that every time the picture has been the same? Like 2 pieces of pie put together. Okay, so we have L is in the interior of angle JKM. This just told you the big angle, and there's a ray coming through the middle of it with a point L. Okay, so we're going to draw a big angle. It's JKM, so we got JKM. Then we have L coming through the interior. Same picture as we've been dealing with. Now we're going to label our picture. JKL is 15x minus 9. JKM, that would be the big one, is 7x plus 18. LKM is 4x plus 3. And it says, what's the measure of angle JKM? J to K to M. So this is the goal, is this angle right here, the big one. So half the battle is being able to draw the picture, label the picture, put the question mark where your goal is, and then it should start to make more sense. This is the same thing we've been doing. It's part plus part equals whole. You try to set up the equation. Look at the picture. Think about the equation. I'm going to give you 30 seconds in your mind. Think of what the equation would be, and then I'll write it on the board and you can compare. It's part plus part equals whole. Okay, did you say 15x minus 9 plus 4x? Hold on, my pen's messing up. Plus 4x plus 3 equals 7x plus 18. Did you get that? Part plus part equals whole. So that is a multi-step equation. Solve it, please. All right, let's see if we got the same answers. On the left, you should at first get 19x minus 6. The right, nothing happens. Now you're ready to cross the street. I personally would move the 7x, but you didn't have to. You could have gone the other way. If I subtract 7x, I end up with this. Then I would move the negative 6 by addition to the right. Then I would divide by 12 and get what? X equals 2. Now I didn't ask for x though, it asked for an angle. So you got to go back to where you put your question mark and plug it in. 7 times 2 is 14 plus 18 is 32 degrees. Okay. I'm going to open up the Delta map, and if you had already attempted those it's the last 2 questions. If you had already attempted those last 2 questions, I'm going to go in and boost your number of attempts so you could try it again. If you had not attempted it, now you should be able to. And then I'm going to start calling you to my desk to let you see your test 1 results. And then we will move on.